Hey all, I'm Tony. You're the one and only, and this is Too Tough to Die. And today you're getting a little passage from the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, section entitled Equality Rights, paragraph 15, subparagraph 1. Every individual is equal before and under the law and has the right to the equal protection and equal benefit of the law without discrimination and, in particular, without discrimination based on race, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, sex, age, or mental or physical disability. And I stressed every individual and the right to equal and equal. That means everybody is equal. Not just Muslims have religious equality. Everybody does. Not just black people have color discrimination on their side. White people do too. Asian people do. Everybody does. It doesn't work one way. This is a two-way glass. And that hasn't been happening a lot because everybody I'm talking to, pretty much voicing the same opinions. Why aren't we taking care of our people first? Now, that can be Canadians. We should be taking care of Canadians first. Could be Windsor. We should be taking care of Windsor people first. Once we take care of our own, yes, let's help out other people and the less fortunate. Or some combination thereof. Maybe we can show that we're nice people and still take care of people as long as we're taking care of our own. And we're not taking care of our own when we've got people in, let's say, Windsor that are having some very hard times and have fallen to the needs of social assistance. They get a set amount of money, and it's not a lot. How'd you like to live on maybe $700 a month? I mean, that's it, total. You got to pay for your rent. You probably don't have a car. You don't eat much. Probably no smartphone. But when we bring in refugees that get same social assistance because they can't find jobs, they get more social assistance. They get put up in hotel rooms. So not only do they get their money, but one of our Windsor people has to feed himself or herself for a whole month on whatever's left from their $700 or $650 or $800, whatever they're getting. And, well, they get a little bit more, sure, if they have a child, but now they're having to feed a child and taking care of that child. And we hope they do and they can. But the people that are coming in as refugees, and you can put air quotes around refugees, you can stress it, you can do whatever you want. When there's a war area, and it doesn't really matter why the war is there, let's not even diverge from the point here. Who cares why the wars are? There's a war and towns are wrecked and people are unfortunately displaced, and it's sad. But when people live in Windsor, in Somalia, in Syria, and everywhere in Brazil, everywhere else they live, we have old people, we have young people, we have infants, we have people that are using canes, crutches, wheelchairs. We have women, we have men, we have all kinds of people. Who do you see coming out of the refugee areas? Men. Somali men, Syrian men, 18 to 26, fighting men, able to go abroad and spread shit. You also see a couple of the poor families that they use for photo ops to try to say, look at how we're helping these people. Well, yeah, you're helping those people because it helps you. What about the other million people? Now, that's why when they come over here and they come to Canada and they're coming for a new life, some people just move here because they want it better and they get, I don't know, some travel visa or permanent resident card, whatever the hell they're getting, and they come here because they want a better way of life. Then they try to fucking stick their way of life on us. That cross offends me. Take it down. Fuck off. This is Canada. It's a Christian country. We have crosses. Fuck off. You want Arabic to be one of the official languages now? I don't fucking think so. Asshat Trudeau, you better not pull any bullshit like that. When you come here, you don't demand it. You can't kill your women here for not being covered. You can't kill your girls, your daughters here because they had sex before marriage. You can't tell me to take my cross off. And how fucking stupid were we to remove the cross from a Hotel Dieu hospital? Yes, I have talked about that before, but Merry Christmas. We're saying Merry Christmas. That's what we say here. Happy holidays. Fuck off. It's Merry Christmas. Pisses me off. At least punks stand for something. They stand up for something they believe in. So don't prejudge them. Again, people with tattoos. Why are they prejudged? Guess what? People with tattoos don't care that people without tattoos don't have them. So who's the fucking loser now? And now we'll start on Je me souviens. That's that crap in Quebec where they wanted to be free because they have sovereign rights. And we already have talked how English-speaking people are totally restricted on what they can do in Quebec. And Quebec gets to run rampant. Quebec even has a federal voting party, the Bloc Québécois, which pretty much is fucking useless because all it does is fuck up the vote. They're not on one side or another. They're on anything that they want to do for their own political gain, and they threaten separatism. René Lévesque and the whole deal. And by the way, Asshat's father, Pierre, by the way, he's the guy that signed that Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, so fuck you, Asshat. Pierre was involved with imposing martial law in Quebec because of a Quebec instance. He was going after that dirty FLQ terrorist organization. Yeah, Pierre also had the RCMP, a really nice bunch of guys there, plant a bunch of evidence, making it look like the FLQ and other terrorists it goes on and on. So Quebec wants their own way of life. They're going to separate from Canada. We should have fucking let them go and said, fine, you want to put up a border crossing? You want to charge toll to get into your country? We don't fucking care. Canada sends you a lot of money in the way of federal transfer payments for education, welfare, and hospitalization, and the whole 9 yards. Hey, everybody, by the way, everybody that's listening here in Ontario, when you file your income tax, we do a lot of that over at T&L Tax. It's also where you can buy this really cool book that we're going to be reading from you. And if I don't get to it today, I'll read it for you for next time. But when you file your taxes, you file your taxes. You pay your federal and your Ontario tax. Quebec has their own government, their own income tax. You have to file your own tax return with them. Pretty much no Canadian software company wants to handle Quebec software because they're all fucked up out there, and we should have let them go. What do we get from Quebec? We get the Montreal Canadiens and we get some strippers. I guess we get some bauxite and some gold and shit like that, but I mean, we've got our own. You want to go to the Maritimes? You could still get to the Maritimes. We should have let Quebec go. Je me souviens. How about fuck off? And you know what? I did want to throw a few quotes out at you. Winston Churchill. Remember, if you heard a couple of shows ago, I mentioned Winston fucking Churchill was coming up. Well, if you don't know who Winston Churchill is, get your damn face out of your electronic device, because before long, your eyesight is going to start getting affected. It's a small symptom. And the establishment is going to prescribe you glasses and more glasses, and you're going to have benefits, and you're going to have plans, and you're going to have to pay out of your pocket sometimes. You know what? Research pinhole glasses. They work. You wear them for a half hour a day. It basically helps train your lens, filters out some light. It'll improve your vision, trust me. If somebody's got older eyes, maybe failing vision, maybe you can't see it as clear, Tell you what, here's a good test. Get yourself a pair of pinhole glasses. You can find them online for like $120, $78. You can also find them online for a fucking $1.99. And they work just the same as the $200 pair. That's called marketing, people. Now, get yourself some pinhole glasses. Put on your wristwatch. Hopefully it's one of those ones that has the day on it. Today, you would say, the 17 or the 6 or whatever. And hold your arm a couple of feet away from you. Try to look at your watch and get it to a point where you can't see that date. You can't see what date is today, but you can't see that. Put your pinhole glasses on and take a look at it without moving your arm. Crystal fucking clear. So anyway, Winston Churchill. If you don't know who he was, he took over England, and he was in the middle of World War II. He was fighting the Nazis. They were trying to run roughshod over the world and make us Nazi. And even at that time, Winston Churchill was quoted. And if any of you don't know what Winston Churchill said, he said, is it about Nazis? Is it about England rolling over? No. He said, Islam is the biggest threat to our society. And this is back then when he was fighting fucking Hitler, who we're now fighting Hillary and all her radical Islam jihadist assholes. And Canadian Charter 2B gives me the right to say that. In fact, the 15 part about my freedom of religion and not being discriminated against comes into play there as well. So Winston Churchill knew this back then. And as far as my stating Merry Christmas, because this is Canada, how many of you realize that Christians are the most persecuted group of people in the world for their religion, of course? There were over 90,000 recorded instances, just recorded, of Christians being murdered in 2016 for their faith. So, most of you, if you're still not around, are brain-dead, mindless idiots and listening to the mainstream media. Honestly, if you're watching CNN, you better be watching it to laugh at how fucking perverse they are. Because if you're watching it thinking you're getting anything, you're a fucking idiot. MSNBC, NBC, CBS, they're all full of shit. You have to use your head. And were you told by CNN? 90,000 Christians were murdered last year. What the fuck do you think would happen if somebody killed 90,000 Muslims and said we're killing them because they're Muslims? Not the radical jihadist ones, regular Muslim people. If they got killed, what in the fuck do you think would happen in this world? Holy war. And as a case in point, I'm sure you hear about shootings all the time. And it's publicized, and the left uses every shooting, which a lot of them learn some terms, false flag, government conspiracy. They instigate a lot of the shit. But anytime any of this happens, they immediately want gun control. And the reason they want gun control is the U.S. Constitution, Second Amendment, gives them the right to bear arms. If they didn't have those guns, they could take over the United States if they wanted. It's going to be pretty hard to take over a country when 323 million people do have the right to have guns, and many do. Pretty easy to take them over if you take away that right. And I will get at that in a second, too. Remind me to tell you about fucking Hitler. Anyway, so do you know, just by saying, radical Muslims should not be allowed here, that sets off a furor. And that was F-U-R-O-R. This is vocab time, people. Not furor, F-U-H-R-E-R, but very close to one and the same. Merry Christmas causes problems. As far as your vocab, I ejaculated here today. And if you don't know what that means, start looking in your dictionary, people. A lot of dictionaries out there have a lot of words in them. They don't always mean what you think they mean. For instance, no, let's not even do that. I'm still on some quotes here. So Churchill knew what the hell he was talking about. Now, Mark Twain, who sometimes can be a bit of an asshat, but one of his quotes was, "If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. But if you do read the newspaper, you're misinformed." So there he had something on it right there. Same thing with the mainstream media today. If that's what you're following, you're misinformed. And one of the things I like to say is, if you don't read, if you don't even want to read, I don't want to read the internet. I don't want to read what you're telling me to read, Tony. I don't want to read anything about your book. I don't want to read anything that is going to make me feel bad, and I don't want to hear it. Okay, well, by not reading, you have zero advantage over someone who can't read. Somebody can't read, they won't have any of this knowledge. You can read, choose not to. You have no advantage over them. For instance, have you ever read, most haven't, or even cared to understand what the terms of service can do? You really should start reading some of that instead of just mindlessly clicking on shit. What you might also want to do if you're carrying around one of those smartphones is look up a thing called Block It Pocket. Prevents you from being tracked. Take my word for it. Because I fucking said so, that's why. Ben Franklin, another quote. I got 3 more. I've got 3 good ones. Ben Franklin said, "Any society that gives up a little liberty to gain a little security deserves neither and will eventually lose both, liberty and security." And that's when they start taking away rights. Little ones. Well, that's okay. It's for our good. It's for our good. Bullshit. Thomas Jefferson said, "Banking establishments are more dangerous than standing armies." And that's true. I mean, you've heard some of the NWO people, some of the real rat bastards, like Rockefeller. He says, "You let me control the banks. I don't care who's in power. I don't care who you put in to run your country, your government. He runs the banks. He's the guy in power." And he's apparently still fucking alive, 101 fucking years old, the only living grandson, I believe, of John D. Rockefeller, who started all the monopoly shit. And then we have another quote. "Great masses of people will more easily be fooled and fall victim to a big lie than a small one." In other words, don't try to just get something over on the people. Just try to fool. He said, come up with something fucking huge, almost unbelievably stupid. They will believe that. They believe a big lie over a small one. That's your fucking Adolf Hitler. And that's how he took control. And you know what? The dictionaries are full of a lot of words. Let's go back there. People now say stuff like the L word. I think they mean lesbian, unless it means something else now in today's kids' lingo. The N word, that would be the word nigger. These are words. They're in the dictionary. In fact, watching Blade Runner a few weeks ago, they said the word niggers. Is that a bad movie? No. The TV show Bewitched, there's an episode where Larry Tate is getting mad at Darren, and he says, "Listen, Darren, heap big chief, gonna be heap mad. You be heap sorry." Okay, well, that's obviously disrespect. We should pull all Bewitched DVDs out. Even Leave It to Beaver called people fat. Lumpy was fat. Larry Mondello was fat. Sanford and Son used the word niggers all the time. Now, I guess they get the privilege because he's black. So they're allowed to insult whites because he's got black privilege. Well, that's a bunch of bullshit. All in the Family. England is a fag country. Jeffersons used the word nigger all the time. But they have special privilege. And that's not right. And that's where things like Black Lives Matter, and people are going, no, it's real. What they're doing is they're protesting against police killing black people. Okay, well, number one, I'm no fan of all police. The badge that they wear deserves respect. There are a bunch of bad and dirty cops out there. Everybody knows that. I got a book that's littered with instances. But again, just like all blacks aren't bad, all whites aren't neo-Nazis, all cops aren't bad. Any cops that are listening to this, and I know a couple that are, they should not be offended when somebody talks about dirty cops, because basically we're trying to point out that there are dirty ones. You should be held to a higher level than the rest of us because you're getting paid by us to do this job. So you're held to a higher standard. And if any of the cops that aren't dirty, that are hardworking, honest cops in a dangerous job, if they get offended by this, they shouldn't. And I can say that. When they try to cover it up, things bad cops do, that's when mistrust grows. And we see a lot of that happening. And it shouldn't happen. The good cops out there should be just as outraged at the bad cops as we are. And it happens all the time. And guess what? Black Lives Matter. There's also a movement out there called Blue Lives Matter for the police. All lives matter. Yeah, why don't all lives matter? Don't white lives matter? Well, I know a few that don't, the fucking Clintons, but why just Black Lives Matter? And that's one of the things that people don't realize about the leftists. They don't argue points. They state only their opinion. And if you don't agree with that, they turn to violence and want to beat you and take away your freedom of speech, as you've seen with Antifa. It's even gotten to the point where the news media and the government the Democrats are condemning Antifa now. But easiest way to win an argument with a liberal? Tell them the truth. State something that's a true fact. They won't hear it. They don't argue facts. They don't argue points. They yell and scream only their opinion. And they don't want to accept any truths. So, Black Lives Matter. I agree with that. Would you agree with White Lives Matter? They have another term now, people of color. I guess that means Asians, natives, Mediterranean people, the Arabs. All lives matter, but the Black Lives Matter people, they take any instance, and again, they rally around Soros-funded leftist protests and loot and rob and steal and take whatever they can get. Their arguments are cops are killing black people. Cops are targeting blacks. And let me tell you something. Yeah, I imagine that happens. We have dirty cops, and some cops will do that. They stereotype people. Guess who else they stereotype? They stereotype punks. They stereotype people with long hair. You get hassled by the cops? Yeah. I've been hassled by the cops a lot of times. A lot of times. Gets to where I expected it. My life matters. I'm not black. I'm not black. I'm not gay. I'm not fat. Black Lives Matter? Sure, I agree, but not for the reasons you're stating. They state cops kill black people 8 times more than cops kill white people. First of all, that's not a true statistic. Second of all, blacks kill blacks 14 times more than white people do. But they don't want to hear that. They have 60 murders a year in Chicago alone. The places with the most gun violence in the States are cities run by Democrats. That fucking asshole Obozo came out of Illinois. He's turned Chicago into a fucking hellhole. Do you hear the Democrats talking about gun violence and blacks being killed by blacks in Chicago every single day? No. Why not? Well, because it doesn't fit their agenda. Back to the mainstream media. It shouldn't even be called the mainstream media anymore. It should just be called the mouthpiece of the Democrats. Did any of you hear recently or see on TV, on the mainstream media, a black Somalian refugee went into a church in, I believe it was Tennessee, and he murdered 6 or 7 white people, and he targeted them. You didn't hear about that on the mainstream media. It's a big event. A guy goes in, he's going to stand up, and he murdered 6 or 7 people and shot a whole bunch of others. And the guy in Las Vegas and everywhere else. You didn't hear about the one in Nashville. And the reason for that is it didn't fit their agenda. It showed an immigrant from a Muslim country who was a radical Muslim that murdered people on U.S. soil. And they can't fucking have that. And that's why you didn't hear about it. And Black Lives Matter is the same thing. They're left-wing propagandistic crap. And you're not going to hear about things like that. So the dictionary's made up of words. Words don't have to mean derogatory things or be insulting. They're words. You got women protesting now wearing large vagina costumes for attention. Just don't give these assholes the attention. Fucking honestly. For instance, last weekend, I was eating some Packy chips. A couple of my friends cracked a joke. The company, it's called PAQUI. And they're organic, and they're very good. But it's not meant to be derogatory term, Packy. You hear people from Pakistan or India, they called us Pakis. Well, I've got some Arab friends that were, and in-laws that were saying the same thing. And to be honest with you, if we examine that word, why is that even derogatory? Paki. Would that not be a person from Pakistan? Reason I'm asking, what do we call people from Afghanistan? Afghani. So if a person from Afghanistan is Afghani, ergo, isn't a person from Pakistan a Paki? Why did that become derogatory? Because people want it to be. Don't fall for fucking bullshit, people. Don't make them take out TV shows that had shit in the past. Learn about stuff that's important. Learn about splunge. Anybody know what that is? Learn about splunge. Guess who else is racist and contravenes people's subparagraph 15.1 rights under the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, although this instance I'm giving you happened in the United States. The Dykes had a Dyke March, and they wanted to bring attention to their dykeness, for lack of a better word. But guess what they did? They didn't allow Jewish lesbians to march in their parade and their protest march. They called them Jew dykes, and they got rid of them, and they harassed them, and they didn't want anything to do with them. So who's being discriminatory now? I know, now here goes the call to burn all Hans Christian Andersen's books again. You remember The Boy, The Finger, The Dyke Hole, the whole deal. But, geez, lesbians not allowing Jewish lesbians to march in their parade because they don't want Jew dykes in their parade? I'll tell you what. Just wait till all you reprobates get a taste of us getting a hetero vegan in a position of power, I think will make the world better. What do you think? Yeah, okay. Anybody hear of Last Man Standing? It's a TV show. I don't watch much TV. Not many TV shows either. Last Man Standing was Tim Allen. And he had a show from, I don't know, 2010 or 11, right up until last year. It was a very popular show, and it got canceled. Do you know why? Because it was a conservative point of view show. Tim Allen didn't like the Democrats. He hated Obama. He hated Hillary. They made fun of Democrats. They made fun of the left. And guess what? Left-wing Hollywood didn't like that. So they canceled his fucking show. And how many of you have heard of, when you watch a TV show or something and it's a paid political announcement or, one of those infomercials, they'll often put up a disclaimer that says, or if somebody's making an editorial on a news broadcast, they'll say, the rights expressed may not be those of us and are solely the blah, 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 blah. Well, Pat Robertson's got a show called The 700 Club. And the TV station in Detroit that I watch it on, YTV, Channel 20. See, I do watch that TV show. They put up a disclaimer at the start that states the following program does not represent the views of Channel 20. Doesn't say may not. They actually went out and said it does not. Now, he's got a very right-wing approach. Very conservative, level-headed guy. And this show, they give about 5 or 10 minutes every show to the actual news. They show you what is going on that the mainstream media won't show you. And they're a faith-based broadcaster, and they have their own university, and they have their own TV network. They've been on the air for 56 freaking years. But the TV station puts out a disclaimer that their views do not represent ours. So that TV station is basically telling you, we're leftists. And you're too stupid to fucking know that. Or care. Tim Allen show, why was it canceled? Yeah. How about that fucking douchebag actress last month? I'm not even going to mention her name. First of all, I didn't even really fucking know who she is, but I won't even mention the bitch's name if I recall it while I'm ranting here. She said, I dare all you Trump supporters to boycott my movie, because she had made some very nasty Donald Trump right-wing, anti-right-wing remarks. And people were talking about boycotting their movie, and they're starting to boycott Hollywood movies. And she dared all Trump supporters to boycott her movie. Guess what? They boycotted it. It made $8 million and tanked. There you go, you fucking useless douchebag. The NFL, the players are taking a knee to stand as a show of Black Lives Matter. Okay, by the way, that fucking asshat that started all this, Kaepernick, $25,000 of his foundation's money went to fund a person who has been glorified for killing a cop. So all the Black Lives Matter disrespected the American flag and their national anthem. That's the country you make your money in, you fucking idiot. You took fucking geology courses and simple courses and had somebody write your exams for you. And no offense to the geology people at all. It's got to do with our Earth. It's just that type of a course is basically a multiple choice test answer all the time. So, if you study and memorize, you can do well in it. And that's why people take courses like that. But you're making money in the country that you say you don't stand for, you don't respect, and then you know what? You do have a choice of fucking leaving it. But if you want to make your protest heard, because you do, see, you're protesting the country and the flag and the national anthem of the country that gives you the right to protest. You're a fucking moron. And that's part of the problem right there, but you took a knee. Let's take a knee. Hashtag take a knee. Well, guess what? Trump got all you fuckers. At the start of the year, 6 of you fuckers were taking a knee. A couple of the stupid networks still showed you and covered it. And then he called you out on it. He said, fire those sons of bitches. And he fed you a little bit of line. Gave you enough rope. Not quite to hang yourself yet. So what'd you do? 200 of you took a knee the next week. He got you. The press was all over it. The people that didn't watch that douchebags movie stopped going to the NFL. By the way, guess who goes to the NFL and buys season tickets and buys all their merchandise? Middle class, conservative, hardworking, money-making people. You piss them off, they stop buying your shit. They stopped watching your shit. The ratings went down. The networks took a $200 or $300 million loss. They started putting a little bit of pressure on you. So you said, you know what? We're going to stand for the anthem, but we'll kneel beforehand. He fucking played you guys. So as far as the Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. Not just black, white, and color. Animals, too. You fucking reprobates. You don't believe me? I don't give a rat's ass. You look in the mirror, call yourself an asshole. Joe, I'm done today. Bye.